I've been through some challenging shoots, and when I say this is the most difficult movie that I've made, I'd say not so much the physical side for me, but it was the complexity. It was the combination of in-camera physical effects, high drama acting, and technical work that needed careful prep and a lot of thought in the execution that was going to be enhanced later by computer-generated images, but needed to be planned so carefully. I also spent a lot of time talking to Jody Johnson, our visual effects supervisor, about this feeling of giving the audience a really intimate, immediate experience of what the journey was like.
Initially, Ron talks to me about what he wants to bring to the film, how he wants it to look, and then we plan out how to bring together the live action and the digital world, and to work with all the different departments, art department, lighting, practical effects, and bring all that together and come up with a finished product that captures that moment, the essence of what we're trying to do here.
There was a tremendous amount of research that was required of all of us from every department, obviously prop building and making.
This is quite a technical film for an art department. We looked all around the world to try and find a ship so we could use it, because there are great ships in South America and other places, just unfortunately they're booked for years in advance. Then there's a place in Cornwall where we found a boat called the Phoenix, which is not far off the same size as the Essex, which is the boat that's in the story. Then here at the studio, we built a replica. It's slightly bigger than the Phoenix because we wanted to be able to work on it more easily. 3, 2, 1, rock! Inside our ship, it has air tanks so that we can change the buoyancy. So if we want to sink it or if we want to lean it over to one side, we just fill these tanks with water and the ship goes down. And then combined with that, we've also put these hydraulic arms on. So we've had to use engineers and marine architects to move this 30-ton set that we built.
We shot everything at sea that we possibly could on either the tall ship or in the whaleboats. If we couldn't safely shoot it at sea because it was a storm scene, or it was where the whale was sinking the ship, or there was a fire, or anything dangerous that required a lot of stunts and a lot of supervision in that way, we shot that on a tank. And there was a lot of that because it's that kind of movie.
The Marine Department's basically the management of the water parts of the movie. Picture boats, the support boats, the crew, and a big part of it is the marine safety on the set. This is a huge water effect movie, and they have all these effects equipment out there that require servicing constantly. And you're either walking around in chest-deep water or you're getting rides. So we move people around. We shuttle everyone. We have floating docks that go to the different places. So we work with them every day as far as what piece of their equipment's going where and how we can help them. And then we've also provided the diving teams because the ship is sitting on a pretty complex floating gimbal system.
Ship is moving.
And so it takes diving and servicing, maintenance, repair, all that stuff. So it's been an ongoing process. The exterior tank has two sections. The main section is 3 feet deep, and then there's a deep section which is just specifically to hold the Essex set. So it's 11 feet in total underneath the ship, and it's a huge body of water. The sea stage tank was a very simple concept using 20-foot sea containers that are 9'6" high, basically building a perimeter with those and then putting in a spray-in liner. And then it has a complex 6-axis gimbal in there, and wave effects, and it's finely filtered and heated, and we keep it clean because cast and crew are going to be in and out of the water for a month.
Being on sea stage, because of the size of the tank, it was a very static kind of scenario, and I think one of our challenges was how do we create different types of seas. So sometimes when the boat is out at sea, it's supposed to be calm, it's not moving that much, and other times it's supposed to be kind of a rougher surf. And how do we achieve that on the gimbal and make different types of movement for different extreme situations? We had the one gimbal that was in sea stage in the water, which was a puppeteered gimbal, and then we also had another robot arm that we shot dry with a whaleboat on the arm. And that's for more kind of wider shots and background boats, and we pre-programmed those moves on the arm and ran them on the day with the camera so that we could get these kind of wider scenarios that we couldn't achieve on sea stage. biggest technical challenge for us with the water is how to kind of do it in a way where it's going to look completely realistic, and how can we create our ocean and expand that world out, and then save moments that we may have to do in full animation for specific things like the storm, the squall, when the whale boats are in the storm. And that's when we know we're going to have to kind of bring all of our weight behind it and get our full CG team together to kind of animate the water.
There's a lot of planning that's involved to make sure that the live action is shot in such a way that we can work with it after, that the camera movements are correct, that we're projecting forward and imagining what will be in the finished frame, and we're shooting accordingly.
A whale. White as alabaster, 100 feet long. Send 6 of my crew to the graves.
I certainly would never want anyone to think of this as a special effects movie, but digital technology has allowed you to transport audiences in not only fantastical ways, but in incredibly authentic ways. And chief among the challenges was making sure that the whale was great.
We've done a lot of concept work with Moby already. You know, we've talked at length with Ron about how he sees the character. We've done a lot of research on real whales, because in order to keep him in a believable environment, because we don't want to pluck the audience out of this real world that you can see behind you and take them into some weird fantasy, you know. So in order to do that, we've researched a lot about behaviours and movements and, you know, physiological details of whales.
Well, we've looked at so much natural history footage of sperm whales now as reference for our animation, and how to set Moby apart from the other whales. What makes him distinctive within his species, and what are his distinct characteristics? So the shape of his nose, the scarring that they have from previous battles that he may have had with sailors where they've tried to harpoon him, and his battles with giant squid when he's feeding. So he's kind of all marked up.
And when we began to lay out the action scenes in the movie and creating storyboards and these animated versions, mock-ups, the first thing that I requested was that we show all of it to our whale specialists, because I didn't want to fall in love with some behavior that didn't have anything to do with reality.
And we meet up with whale experts and we talk about how realistic the whale behaviour is, how plausible it is, if we've pushed things too far towards, you know, the fantasy, and how might a real whale react in this kind of situation. And the challenge is to integrate that character within the story and within the universe that everyone else exists. Particularly challenging, I think, with a creature of such power and of such size, and who has a pivotal role in the film. You know, we need to walk the line of, it needs to be exciting, it needs to keep you on the edge of your seat, but we don't want to create a monster. So we need to push that envelope without going over the edge. When we go to La Gomera, we're going to be shooting a lot of this stuff at sea for real. So we'll put the whales in, some of the close-up work we'll do on blue screen, because then we can get the right performances from the actors, and we'll sort of tie those elements together so that hopefully the audience will enjoy going on this journey.
I felt like, yes, we need to deliver great action, and it needs to be exciting and fun to watch, and I think the movie is all of those things. But I also wanted the way the visual effects side coexists with what we would get in camera to create a very personal experience where you lose yourself in the story and come away with a little sense of what it might have been like to be there.